In this discussion, we will discuss the discussion question of list and explain the difference between Comprehensive Annual Financial Reports, CAFR, and GASB General Purpose External Financial Reporting for state and local governments. If we see a discussion question or an essay question like this, our goal is typically to expand on the discussion or essay question if time allows, that allowing us more opportunity to touch on those points, to pick up points for an essay question and add new material to the discussion for a discussion question. Keeping that in mind, let's look at this one more time. List and explain the difference between Comprehensive Annual Financial Reports, CAFR, and GASB General Purpose External Financial Reporting for state and local governments. If we see an essay question like this, we may first think that we want to define what the CAFR is and what the GASB General Purpose External Financial Reporting is, and then we typically look at the differences between those two items. And that's probably a good place to start. If we wanted to take a step back, we can then say, okay, these are both types of things that are going to apply to governmental type of accounting as opposed to for-profit type of organizations, and that could lead us into the discussion of what are the different types of entities that are regulating the for-profit type of organizations as opposed to the governmental type of organizations, why not, and then get into basically more detail there. Defining the two terms, however, for an essay question is, of course, a good place to start, and looking at those differences is a good place to start. You may also want to look, though, at any kind of commonalities when we're comparing and contrasting two items as well, and that might pick up some points as well. We want to think, well, why are these being compared? They're probably the same in some cases, and then we're going to concentrate on the differences. Those are the things that, of course, are going to make them distinct. So anytime we compare two things, we probably want to think a little bit about, well, why are we comparing these two? How are they similar? Why is there a need for us to have this distinguished between the two? Between these two, I would start off with the GASB because this is going to be the General Purpose External Financial Reporting, and this is going to be basically the minimum requirements. So note what we have here is we're going to have a set of minimum requirements, and then we have the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Reports, which are going to be above and beyond the minimum requirements. But those are often things that state governments do, and there's going to be regulations that do give guidance on the CAFR as well, even though they may not be a requirement. So that might be the first place to start. You'd say, well, GASB General Purpose External Financial Reporting, generally required. They have the minimum requirements, and the CAFR possibly not always required. However, it's going to be more inclusive. It goes above and beyond, giving more information, and therefore many state and local governments do provide the more inclusive CAFR. The GASB standards generally require external reports that would include the Management Discussion and Analysis, also termed the MD&A. That's going to be part of the required supplemental information, government-wide financial statements, fund financial statements, notes to those statements, and other required supplementary information, also known as RSI. So that's going to be the required minimum requirement, and those are going to be the GASB General Purpose External Financial Reportings for state and local government. The CAFR presents three types of information. So those three types of information are going to be broke out into these categories. We have the introductory material from the entity's management, such as the transmittal letter, organizational charts, and awards. Then we have financial statements, including the financial information required by GASB. So that's where some of the similarity will be between the two. And then we'll have statistical information, such as demographic information about the entity. And so when you think about the CAFR, you typically want to think about those three kind of sections, those three kind of categories: the introductory material from the entity's management, the financial statements, and then the statistical information. From this point forward, you can go into more detail about each of those components, of course, and you could spend a lot of time going into more details. You can give examples from different types of governmental organizations. You can take a look at more detail of those things that are going to differ between the two types of reporting for the CAFR and the GASB General Purpose External Financial Reporting, the minimum requirements as compared to the Comprehensive Annual Financial Reports.